How did the westward expansion impact the Native Americans' way of life? Let's look at the history. How did the war affect the Native Americans? The Greasy Grass was the war between Cheyenne and Dakota in 1876. This war was also known as the Battle of Little Bighorn. America had declared war on Great Britain because Great Britain wanted sailors from the U.S. to serve on their ships. Britain did not like the Americans taking the natives' land. Towards the end of the war, Britain broke their promise with the natives and retreated back to Canada.
What were some of the treaties? The result of the Indian Removal Act was the Trail of Tears. The Indian Removal Act came about due to the U.S. history of 1812. The Treaty of Ruby Valley was signed between the Western Shoshone Nation and the United States, creating the state of Nevada. The Fort Lawrence Treaty was signed with the Sioux to bring peace to give Dakota's territory, known as the Black Hills. How did these treaties affect the natives? The Americans took their land and made them promises, in which they took in the end.
What was a major impact of the genocides on the Native Americans? One of the major genocides was the Trail of Tears, which was to remove the Native Americans that were past the Mississippi River. This resulted in 4,000 deaths of them having to travel 14,000 miles. Indian reservations were also genocides. These were genocides because the United States Americans had moved the Indians into smaller reservations. These reservations limited the Indians of what they could use and what they couldn't. They didn't give them enough to live off of. Whose culture was most affected? The Native Americans were most affected. They were most affected because they had to move out of their land, which they had known and lived on for many years. They also had to change their lifestyle due to the Americans.
Why did the natives like having their own sovereignty? They liked having their own sovereignty because they could remain independent from the outside forces.